Hello, Daniel here from Great Ocean Road Chiropractic with this week's The Monday Movement. This week we've got a very special guest, Dr. Damian Kristof, joining us for a quick chat. A chiropractor and naturopath and the owner of Forage Cereal.
It's true.
And also the founder of, or one of the founders of the Wellness Guys podcast. There'll be a few of you who I have recommended to Damo's talks or to the podcast. So it'll be great for these people to see you, Damo, and to hear what you have to say. What we might do today, we're going to do 2 videos with Damo while we've got him. What I'd like to talk about in this video, Damo, given your expertise on nutrition and naturopathy and supplementation, is the 3 most common mistakes that people make with their nutrition in general.
Okay.
Sure. So I guess you and I have been talking today, and we've chatted about how specific advice around nutrition has become, and everyone wants to label their nutrition. They want to be paleo, or
They want to own kind of a brand of nutrition, don't they?
Yeah,
Like
they
it's
want to be keto or
oh dear, yeah.
Veganism is vegan and vegetarianism is getting really popular.
Yeah.
So if we strip it all back, what are 3 things that a lot of people are doing now that they could maybe improve on, that are doable, applicable, and that are going to have a really big impact on the quality of their life?
Well, that was a 2-minute question,
Yep.
so that was incredible. Thank you, DJ.
2.5 minutes to answer it, and then we'll get on to the next
very,
one.
very easy. The reason why I chuckled when you mentioned paleo, keto, vegan was because there's a trend in Australia to be extreme. Like you're either black or white, right or wrong, good or bad, and that kind of permeates our society. So, if you make a choice to do something or not to do something, you're perceived to be either right or wrong based on the people that you speak to. It's kind of like very little acceptance of somewhere what we would call middle ground. And in Australia, it's kind of demonized to be one way or the other, but it's expected that you would be one way or the other, even though the preference is for color. Like we all want to have something in between. That's where we'd prefer to hang, but there's an expectation that we toe a line, we toe a party line. You're either liberal or Labor. You're either apolitical or non-political. It's kind of not this thing where we would all meet and acknowledge our differences and be happy with that. We don't tend to do very well. So that lends a lot of weight to mistakes being made with nutrition, because people go hard out with enthusiasm following a particular diet.
Yeah.
Now, if you're running with enthusiasm in the wrong direction, you can get yourself into trouble.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've done that before after many a beer at the Warren Ponds Hotel when I was studying to be an accountant.
Yeah.
But and I ran with enthusiasm towards Geelong West, but found myself nowhere near Geelong West. In fact, closer to Torquay. So it's always good to be going in the right direction. So my point being is that the cultures that live the longest, the people that have the least amount of disease in the world, the people that have 0 dementia, the people that have very little heart disease,
Like in the blue zones.
Yeah, insignificant rates of cancer. Those people drink red wine, they eat good food, they eat whole food, so they eat what's called seasonal, local, organic and whole. Now, it can be difficult for people to get access to organic food, but in Australia it appears that it's becoming a bit more important to be looking for those sorts of things. And it would appear that the more variety that you have with your food, in other words, the more vegetables and different types of vegetables and fruits that you consume in your diet, the better your microbiome will be and the better your overall health will be. So you don't have to be vegan and you don't have to be paleo, you don't have to go keto. Though each of those eating programs can be used effectively to create a change within the body. So if you need to do a detox and you've been a carnivore for some time or an omnivore for a certain period of time, you might do well by going vegan for a little bit of time. If you've been eating a lot of carbohydrate and you've now piled on the kilos and you've got to drop 15 or 20 or 30 kilos, then keto could be a really good thing for you to do for a short period of time. And if you've been a vegan and you've wasted away and now blow over in the wind, you might benefit from going paleo because you give your body the opportunity to grow more muscle. And so there's some, things to just consider in that sort of regard. And I think that for as long as we continue to be extreme in our eating programs, we will make mistakes and errors.
Yep. So it really comes back to balance.
Yeah.
Yep. And if there were 3 sort of take-home things that you see people doing too much of or not enough of, regardless of how they want to label how they eat, what would be the most common ones that you see in practice day to day?
I think the biggest error that people do is they don't get enough variety.
Yep.
So they go, I want eggs and avocado for breakfast. I want these 3 vegetables plus a protein for lunch. And then I want these 3 vegetables plus a protein for dinner. And that's all they eat. There's a lack of variety there, and that can actually disrupt the microbiome. And the microbiome, as we understand, controls so much function within the body. The other thing that I see people do is that they go and eat according to someone else's values. Yep. So when I see that people eat according to someone else's values, like you might go to a seminar and hear that grains could in fact kill you. If that's the case, then most of the world would be dead right now if grains actually caused autoimmune disease and could kill you.
Because rice is a grain, right?
Rice is a grain. Let's not make no bones about it. Rice is a grain. And yes, we do acknowledge that there are increases in different types of lifestyle diseases. And we see heart disease, diabetes, cancer on the rise. But it's not because of whole grain, good quality, gluten-free grains. Like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about highly processed, wheat-based or gluten-based products, even highly processed rice products or highly processed soy products. We're talking about the highly processed products that are the cause of these problems, not the unrefined whole foods that I alluded to before. And then the third thing I think would be that many people drink too much stimulating beverage instead of drinking enough water.
Yep.
So we find people drinking too much caffeine. Look, 1 to maybe up to 3 cups of a caffeinated beverage a day might be all that you need. In fact, you don't even need that, but that's probably about as far as what you want to go. But you do need to be drinking a lot of water, and that's really important. And most people are undernourished when it comes to water.
And just to finish up on that coffee topic, very quickly, 2 things. Is it important to have the water that you're talking about at around the same time as you're having some caffeine? Is that a good idea?
Well, to some extent. I mean, the key thing is to maintain hydration. And look, the reality is that when you stimulate caffeine, or when you stimulate adrenaline using caffeine, there'll be various mechanisms that take place within the body that will cause rapid elimination of hydration. And so, if you drink water with caffeine, it's highly likely that much of that will probably go out as well. So you just need to continually hydrate. It's really important to continually hydrate. Be aware that there are challenges that you drink every day, and there's challenges that you eat every single day, and that's okay. But just be mindful of rehydration frequently.
Yeah. And last question about the coffee, and then we'll wrap this one up. Do you recommend that people, if they're finding that they're too wound up during the day and that maybe coffee or black tea or whatever they're drinking is contributing to that, that maybe they leave that till later in the day in general to start consuming those drinks?
Yeah, one of the things that I found is that people will often wind themselves up into stressful states. So they might start the day with caffeine, then have another caffeinated beverage mid-morning, have another caffeinated beverage at lunchtime, potentially maybe try to stay away from caffeinated beverages after, say, 2:30. But they've set their adrenal glands in such a state that they're now, sorry about the background noise, there's like someone's chopping.
Someone's making
Someone's making coffee or dinner. But there's a common error that people make, and that is that they drink green tea at night time and thinking that green tea is healthy. And it is to some extent because it contains different chemicals, polyphenols and different nutrients that can act as antioxidants within the body, which is good. But it does contain caffeine. In fact, green tea is exactly the same as black tea. It's just produced differently. One is steamed and the other one's baked. So it still contains caffeine. So look at where you place and position your caffeine intake, and preferably early in the day is ideal if you're struggling to get to sleep at night, and preferably away from food if you find yourself moving your bowels too quickly.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for your time, DK.
Lots to talk about, DJ.
There's lots. That was a 10-minute long, 3-minute video.
There you go.
Awesome.
Top 3 tips.
Thank you very much. We're going to come back with another video with Damo for next week's The Monday Movement. For now, enjoy the rest of your Monday and enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk to you soon.